They say war changes a man, but what they don't tell you is that it also reveals who people truly are. My name is Thomas Garrett, and this is the story of how my best friend, the man I considered my brother, betrayed me in the worst way imaginable. Or so I thought for 70 years. This is the truth I wish I'd known back then. Brooklyn, New York, summer 1941. The humid air hung thick over the streets of Brooklyn as I wiped the sweat from my forehead, tossing another crate of vegetables onto the delivery truck. At 22, I figured my life was pretty well mapped out. Work at my old man's grocery store, maybe marry Rebecca Sullivan from down the block, raise a family. Simple. Predictable. Tommy, you gonna stand there daydreaming? Or are you gonna help me with these boxes? I turned to see Daniel Morrison, Danny to everyone who knew him, grinning at me from the truck bed, his blonde hair plastered to his forehead from the heat. We've been best friends since we were 5 years old, growing up in the same tenement building, sharing everything from scraped knees to first crushes. I'm working, ain't I? I shot back, heaving another crate up to him. Danny caught it easily. At 6'2", he had 4 inches on me, and he never let me forget it. Working. Looks more like you're thinking about Rebecca again. Shut up, I muttered, but I couldn't help the smile tugging at my lips. You gonna ask her to marry you, or what? We're not getting any younger, Tommy, says the guy who can't keep a girl for more than 2 weeks. Danny laughed, that big infectious laugh that could light up a whole room. I'm waiting for the right one, that's all. Unlike you, I don't fall for the first pretty face I see. Rebecca ain't just a pretty face. I know. She's smart, she's kind, she's perfect. Danny jumped down from the truck, landing with a thud on the pavement. So what's stopping you? I shrugged, grabbing my canteen for a drink. Timing, I guess. Everything feels so uncertain right now. Danny's expression grew serious. He pulled out a crumpled newspaper from his back pocket, the headline screaming about German U-boats in the Atlantic. You thinking about what everyone's saying? About us getting into the war. Hard not to think about it. Roosevelt's been sending supplies to Britain. It's only a matter of time. My cousin Patrick enlisted last month, Danny said quietly. Joined the Marines. Said he wanted to do his part before they start drafting. I looked at my friend, seeing something in his eyes I didn't quite recognize. You thinking about enlisting? I don't know. Maybe. He folded the newspaper, shoving it back into his pocket. Feels wrong, you know. Sitting here selling vegetables while the whole world's on fire. Before I could respond, my father's voice bellowed from inside the store. Thomas. Daniel. Customers waiting. We exchanged a look and headed back inside, but that conversation stuck with me. It stuck with both of us. 3 months later, December 6, 1941. The recreation hall on Flatbush Avenue was packed with people, the air thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of cheap beer. It was Danny's birthday, 23, and half the neighborhood had shown up to celebrate. To Danny, someone shouted, raising a glass. To Danny, the crowd echoed. I watched my friend soak it all in, beaming like he'd won the lottery. Rebecca squeezed my hand under the table. He looks happy, she said softly. Yeah, he does. Have you noticed he's been different lately? Rebecca asked, her brown eyes studying me. Quieter. More thoughtful. I had noticed. In the weeks since our conversation by the truck, Danny had become increasingly distant, often lost in thought. But whenever I asked him about it, he'd brush it off with a joke and that signature grin. He's just got a lot on his mind, I said. We all do. Later that night, after most folks had cleared out, Danny and I sat on the front steps of his building, sharing a bottle of whiskey we'd snuck from the party. Best birthday yet, Danny said, staring up at the stars barely visible through the city lights. 23. We're practically old men now, old enough to know what we want, old enough to fight for it. He took a long swig from the bottle, then passed it to me. Tommy, I need to tell you something. The serious tone made me straighten up. What's going on, Danny? He was quiet for a long moment, working his jaw like he was chewing on difficult words. I've been thinking about what I said. About enlisting. My stomach dropped. Danny, just listen, okay? He turned to face me, his blue eyes intense in the dim streetlight. We both know we're going to war. It's not if anymore, it's when. And when that happens, I want to go in on my own terms. Not drafted, not forced. I want to choose. You're really doing this? I went to the recruitment office yesterday. I'm joining the army. Infantry. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. When? I report to Fort Dix in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Danny, that's... I stopped trying to process. Does your mother know? Not yet. I'm telling her tomorrow. He grabbed my shoulder. Tommy, come with me. What? Enlist with me. We've done everything together our whole lives. Let's do this together too. I stared at him, torn between a dozen different emotions. Fear, excitement, loyalty, doubt. I need to think about it. Rebecca, we'll wait for you. If she loves you, she'll wait. Danny's grip tightened. I know it's scary. Hell, I'm terrified. But I'd rather be terrified with my best friend by my side than safe and alone back here. I looked at my friend, my brother in everything but blood, and felt something shift inside me. Maybe he was right. Maybe this was what we were supposed to do. Let me talk to Rebecca, I said finally. Give me that. Danny's face split into a grin. That's all I'm asking. We sat there in comfortable silence, passing the whiskey back and forth, neither of us knowing that in less than 12 hours, the decision would be made for us. December 7th, 1941, Sunday morning. I was having breakfast with my family when my younger sister burst through the door, her face pale. Turn on the radio. Now. My father fumbled with the dial, and then the announcer's urgent voice filled our small kitchen. Japanese forces have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air and sea. We repeat, Pearl Harbor has been attacked. The fork slipped from my mother's hand, clattering against her plate. God help us, my father whispered. I was already standing, already reaching for my coat. I had to find Danny. The streets were chaos, people running, shouting, crying. I found Danny standing outside the recruitment office, which was already flooded with young men. Our eyes met across the crowd. He didn't have to say anything. I knew. We walked inside together. 6 weeks later, Fort Benning, Georgia, January 1942. Basic training was hell. Pure, unfiltered hell. Move it, ladies. My grandmother runs faster than you, and she's been dead for 5 years. Sergeant Kowalski was 6 feet of pure mean, and he seemed to take particular pleasure in making our lives miserable. We ran until we vomited, did push-ups until our arms gave out, and then did them again. But through it all, Danny and I had each other. I can't feel my legs. I groaned, collapsing onto my bunk after a 20-mile march with full packs. What legs? Danny said from the bunk below mine. Pretty sure mine fell off around mile 15. I couldn't help but laugh, which hurt my ribs. Why did we do this again? Patriotism. Glory? Complete insanity. Probably that last one. Despite the misery, there was something exhilarating about it too. We were becoming something more than we'd been. Stronger. Harder. Ready. We also made friends, good ones. There was Marcus Washington from Atlanta, who could field strip a rifle blindfolded, Jimmy O'Connor from Boston, who never stopped talking, and Robert Chin from San Francisco, quietest guy in the unit but deadly accurate with a rifle. We became a unit. Brothers forged in sweat and exhaustion. One night, about 3 weeks into training, Danny and I were on fire watch together, sitting in the cold Georgia darkness. You ever write to Rebecca? He asked. Every week. You? I write to my mom. She's having a hard time with this. I heard the pain in his voice. Mrs. Morrison had been a widow since Danny was 10. He was all she had. She'll be okay. She's tough. Yeah. Danny was quiet for a moment. Tommy, promise me something. Anything. If something happens to me over there, look after her. Make sure she's okay. Don't talk like that. Promise me. His voice was firm, urgent. I promise. But nothing's going to happen to you, Danny. We're going to get through this, come home, and everything will go back to normal. Even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. Nothing would ever be normal again. April 1942, shipping out. The day finally came. We were heading to England, joining the build-up for what everyone said would be the eventual invasion of Europe. I stood on the dock in New York Harbor, my duffel bag at my feet, watching the massive transport ship that would carry us across the Atlantic. Rebecca stood beside me, trying not to cry. I'll write every day, I promised, holding her hands. You'd better. Her voice cracked. You better come back to me, Thomas Garrett. I will. I swear it. She kissed me then, hard and desperate, and I tried to memorize everything about that moment. The smell of her perfume, the softness of her lips, the way her hands trembled in mine. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. The whistle blew. Time to go. I found Danny on the deck, waving to his mother on the dock. She looked so small, so fragile, her handkerchief pressed to her face. You okay? I asked. No, he said honestly. But I will be. As the ship pulled away from the dock, away from everything we'd ever known, Danny turned to me with that familiar grin, though it didn't quite reach his eyes this time. Well, Tommy, here we go. You and me against the world. I clapped him on the shoulder. Just like always, we watched New York disappear into the distance, neither of us speaking, both of us knowing that the boys who'd left that dock would not be the same men who returned, if we returned at all. England, May 1942. The English countryside was nothing like I'd imagined. Green, impossibly green, even in the gray drizzle that seemed to fall every other day. Our unit was stationed outside a small town called Tidworth, training for what the officers kept calling future operations, which everyone knew meant the invasion of France, though nobody said it out loud. Mail call. The shout brought everyone running. Letters from home were the only thing keeping us sane. Little pieces of the world we'd left behind. Morrison, Garrett, Danny, and I pushed through the crowd. I got 3 letters, 2 from Rebecca and 1 from my mother. Danny got a single envelope, his mother's shaky handwriting on the front. We sat on our bunks, reading in silence. Rebecca's letters were full of everyday details, her job at the textile factory, neighborhood gossip, how much she missed me. Normal things that felt surreal in this place where we trained to kill. Everything okay back home? Danny asked, folding his letter carefully. Yeah, you. Mom's okay. Working too hard, but okay. He paused. She said Mrs. Sullivan asks about you all the time. Checking on Rebecca. That's kind of her. Danny lay back on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. You ever wonder if we made a mistake? Coming here. It was the first time he'd ever expressed doubt. Sometimes. But we're here now. Gotta see it through. Yeah, he said softly. Gotta see it through. June 1942. Training intensifies. The exercises became more brutal, more realistic. Live ammunition, night operations, amphibious assault training. They were preparing us for something big. Our squad had grown tight. Danny, me, Marcus, Jimmy, and Robert. We moved like one unit now, anticipating each other's movements, covering each other's backs. But I started noticing changes in Danny. He volunteered for every dangerous assignment. Took unnecessary risks during exercises. It was like he was trying to prove something, or maybe trying to feel something. Danny's been acting weird, Marcus said one night while we cleaned our rifles. What do you mean? More aggressive. Reckless. Marcus looked at me. You notice it too, right? I had. But I didn't want to admit it. He's just focused. That ain't focused, Tommy. That's something else. I found Danny that night, sitting alone outside the barracks, smoking a cigarette. Since when do you smoke? I asked, sitting beside him. Since I got here. He took a long drag. Helps with the nerves. Marcus thinks you're taking too many risks. Marcus should mind his own business. The harshness in his voice caught me off guard. Danny, what's going on with you? He was quiet for a long time, the cigarette burning down between his fingers. You ever feel like you're not doing enough? Like nothing you do matters. We're training. Preparing. For what? We've been here 3 months, Tommy. 3 months of pretending, practicing, playing soldier while real men are dying in North Africa, in the Pacific. He flicked the cigarette away. I didn't come here to play. This is part of it. We can't just what? Be useful. Make a difference. He stood abruptly. Forget it. You wouldn't understand. He walked away, leaving me sitting there confused and concerned. That's when things started changing between us. July 1942, the assignment. Captain Reeves called us into his office, just Danny and me. That was unusual. At ease, gentleman. Reeves is a career officer, tough but fair. He studied us for a moment. You two come highly recommended by Sergeant Kowalski. High marks in tactics, marksmanship, physical conditioning. Thank you, sir, we said in unison. We're forming a special reconnaissance unit. Volunteers only. Deep penetration missions behind enemy lines, intelligence gathering, sabotage when necessary. He leaned forward. It's dangerous work. High casualty rate. But it's also the most important work we do. My heart hammered in my chest. This was real. This was what Danny had been craving. We're looking for 12 men. I want you two among them. Reeves looked between us. But understand, if you volunteer, there's no backing out. You'll undergo additional training, and when we deploy, you'll be the tip of the spear. I volunteer, sir, Danny said immediately. Reeves nodded, then looked at me. Garrett, I hesitated. This wasn't what I'd signed up for. I wanted to serve, do my part, but special reconnaissance? That was suicide with extra steps. Can I have some time to think about it, sir? 24 hours. Reeves dismissed us. Outside the office, Danny grabbed my arm. What's there to think about? This is our chance. Our chance to get killed, you mean? Our chance to actually do something. His eyes blazed with something between excitement and desperation. Come on, Tommy. We do this together, just like we planned. That's not what we planned. We planned to serve, not throw our lives away on suicide missions. It's not suicide, it's exactly what he said, high casualty rate. I pulled my arm free. I have Rebecca waiting for me. My family. I can't just. So that's it. Danny's face hardened. You're choosing her over this? Over us. That's not fair, isn't it? You've always played it safe, Tommy. Always taken the easy road. Well, some of us want more than safe, and some of us want to actually make it home. The words hung between us, sharp and cutting. Danny's jaw clenched. Fine. Do what you want. I'm volunteering, with or without you. He walked away, and for the first time since we were 5 years old, I felt the distance between us like a physical thing. The next day, I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about Danny's words, about Rebecca, about what I'd come here to do. At dawn, I found Captain Reeves. I volunteer, sir. Rebecca would understand. She had to. August-September 1942 special training. The special reconnaissance training made basic training look like summer camp. We learned demolitions, silent kills, Morse code, navigation by stars, survival skills, German language basics, and how to withstand interrogation. They pushed us past every limit we thought we had. Danny thrived. He was first in everything, fastest, strongest, most accurate. The instructors loved him. He was becoming the perfect soldier. But he was also becoming someone I didn't recognize. We barely spoke anymore, except for mission-essential communication. The easy friendship we'd shared for 17 years had evaporated, replaced by something cold and professional. You two have a problem. Sergeant Murphy, our reconnaissance instructor, asked one day after a particularly tense exercise. No, sir, we said together. Bullshit. I can see it from a mile away. He looked between us. I don't care if you're best friends or worst enemies, but when you're behind enemy lines, you trust each other with your lives or you both die. Figure it out. That night I tried. I found Danny in the mess hall, sitting alone. Can we talk? What's there to talk about? He didn't look up from his food. This. I sat down across from him. Danny, we've been friends our whole lives. I don't want to lose that over. Whatever this is, you already made your choice. You hesitated when it mattered. I didn't hesitate. I made a thoughtful decision. That's not the same thing. To you, maybe. He finally looked at me, and his eyes were cold. You know what I realized, Tommy? You've always held me back. Always been the cautious one, the careful one. Maybe it's time we both stop pretending we're the same person. The words hit like a physical blow. You don't mean that, don't I? He stood, picking up his tray. We're soldiers now, not kids from Brooklyn. The sooner you accept that, the better. He left me sitting there, feeling like I'd lost something I couldn't name. October 1942, first mission. Our first real mission came in October. A reconnaissance patrol into occupied France, observe German positions near Calais, report back. Simple. Low risk, they said. They lied. We inserted by boat on a moonless night, 12 of us moving through the darkness like ghosts. Danny was point man. I was second. The others spread out behind us. Everything went smoothly for the first 2 hours. We reached our observation point, cataloged the German fortifications, took photographs. Mission accomplished. Then everything went to hell. Patrol. German patrol. Robert hissed from his position. We froze. Through the darkness, I could hear German voices, boots crunching on gravel. They were close. Too close. Lieutenant Harrison made hand signals. Stay hidden. Let them pass. But Danny had other ideas. Before anyone could stop him, he moved forward, disappearing into the shadows. I heard a scuffle, a muffled gasp, then silence. When the German patrol passed, Danny emerged, wiping his knife on his pants. 2 bodies lay in the darkness behind him. Clear, he whispered. Harrison's face was furious. Morrison, what the hell? They would have found us, sir. I eliminated the threat. Your orders were to stay hidden. My orders were to complete the mission and bring everyone home. That's what I did. We exfiltrated in tense silence. Back at base, Harrison tore into Danny, threatening a court-martial for disobeying orders. But Captain Reeves intervened. Danny had saved the mission, saved lives. He received the commendation instead. That's when I realized Danny had stopped playing by the rules. And somehow that made him the hero. November 1942, Rebecca's letter. The letter came on a gray Tuesday afternoon. Dearest Thomas, I don't know how to write this, so I'll just say it plainly. I can't wait anymore. I thought I could, but every day you're gone feels like a year, and I don't know if you're alive or dead until weeks after your letters arrive. A man from the neighborhood, Arthur Peterson, you remember him, has asked to court me. He's 4F, working in the factories. He's here, he's safe, and he's kind. I'm so sorry, Thomas. I love you, but I need to live my life. I can't spend it waiting for a ghost. Please forgive me. Rebecca. I read it 3 times, feeling something inside me break. Danny found me an hour later, still holding the letter. What happened? I couldn't speak. I just handed him the letter. He read it, his face darkening. Tommy, I'm sorry. You were right, I said numbly. I should have stayed safe. Should have stayed home. Then maybe. No, don't do that. For the first time in months, Danny's voice softened. This isn't your fault, isn't it? I chose to come here. Chose this over her. Danny sat beside me, and for a moment, he was my friend again. She made her choice too. That's on her, not you. We sat there in silence, and I felt hollow. Everything I'd been fighting for, getting home to Rebecca, building that life I'd planned, had just disappeared. What do I do now? I asked. Danny's hand gripped my shoulder. You keep fighting. You survive. And when this is over, you build something new. I don't know if I can. You can. We both can. He stood, pulling me up with him. Come on, let's get a drink. There's a pub in town that doesn't ask questions. That night, for the first time since our fight, Danny and I talked like we used to. He told me about his fears, his nightmares, why he'd been so reckless. I told him about feeling lost, feeling like I'd made the wrong choices. By the time we stumbled back to base, drunk and laughing despite everything, I thought maybe we'd found our way back to each other. I was wrong. December 1942, the impossible order. Our unit was called in for a special briefing. Top secret. When we entered the room, 3 British intelligence officers stood beside Captain Reeves. Gentlemen, what I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room, Reeves began. We've identified a high-value target, a German colonel overseeing defensive fortifications along the French coast. Intelligence believes he's carrying classified documents about troop deployments and coastal defenses. One of the British officers stepped forward. We need those documents. And we need the colonel eliminated. This is an assassination mission, Reeves said bluntly. Deep penetration, high risk. We need 2 volunteers. My stomach sank. I knew it was coming. Morrison. Garrett. Reeves looked at us. You're our most experienced team. Are you willing? Danny didn't hesitate. Yes, sir. All eyes turned to me. After Rebecca's letter, after everything, part of me didn't care anymore. What was I fighting to get home to? Yes, sir. Good. You deploy in 1 week. Briefing materials are in the folder. Memorize everything, then burn it. After the briefing, Danny pulled me aside. He looked excited, more alive than I'd seen him in months. This is it, Tommy. This is what we've been training for. It's a suicide mission. No, it's a mission we're going to complete. His eyes blazed. Think about it, we pull this off, we could change the course of the war. Save thousands of lives. Or die trying. Better to die doing something that matters than to live having done nothing. I looked at my friend and realized he'd moved beyond me. Beyond fear, beyond doubt. He'd become something pure and terrible, a weapon pointed at the enemy. And I was terrified of what that meant for both of us. December 15th, 1942, the mission. We inserted just after midnight, parachuting into the French countryside 20 miles from the target. Everything was planned to the minute. Infiltration, observation, execution, extraction. But plans never survive contact with the enemy. We reached the German colonel's headquarters, a requisition chateau, by dawn. We spent the day hidden in the woods, watching the patterns, counting guards, identifying weaknesses. 6 guards rotating every 4 hours, Danny whispered, sketching the layout. Best window is 0200 hours, shift change. They get sloppy. What about the documents? Colonel's quarters, 2nd floor, east wing. We get in, neutralize him, grab the documents. We're out in 10 minutes. And if something goes wrong? Danny looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that chilled me. Nothing's going wrong. At 0200 hours, we moved. Everything happened exactly as Danny predicted. Distracted guards, unlocked window, silent entry. We were inside in minutes, moving through the darkened hallways like shadows. The colonel's quarters were at the end of the hall. Danny tested the door. Unlocked. We entered, weapons ready. The colonel slept in his bed, documents scattered across the desk by the window. Danny moved toward the bed, knife drawn. Then the colonel's eyes opened. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion. The colonel reached for something under his pillow, a pistol. Danny lunged. I dove for the desk, grabbing the documents. A shot rang out, deafeningly loud in the small room. Danny grunted, staggered. Danny. I turned, saw blood spreading across his shoulder. The colonel was dead, Danny's knife in his throat. But Danny was hit. I'm fine, he gasped. Grab the document. We gotta move. Alarms blared. Shouts in German. Boots pounding on stairs. We ran. The chateau exploded into chaos behind us. Searchlights, gunfire, dogs barking. We crashed through the woods, Danny bleeding badly, me half-dragging him. Go, Danny wheezed. Leave me. Get the documents back. Shut up. We're both getting out. More gunfire. Bullets shredding leaves around us. We reached a ravine, a stream at the bottom. Jump! I shouted. We plunged into the icy water, the current carrying us downstream, away from the chaos. I held on to Danny, held on to the documents, refusing to let either go. We washed up a mile downstream, gasping and freezing. Danny's shoulder was torn up badly, the bullets still lodged inside. I need to dig it out, I said. Not here. Too exposed. Danny struggled to his feet. Safe house. 5 miles northeast. We moved through the darkness, Danny growing weaker with every step. By the time we reached the safe house, an abandoned farmhouse, he could barely stand. I laid him on the floor, lit a lamp, examined the wound. This is bad, Danny. Really bad. Just get the bullet out. I didn't have proper tools. I heated my knife in the lamp flame, gave Danny a piece of leather to bite on. What I did next, I'll carry with me forever. Danny's screams. The blood. The terrible intimacy of digging through your best friend's flesh to save his life. But I got the bullet out. I bandaged him with torn cloth, held pressure until the bleeding slowed. Danny drifted in and out of consciousness, fevered and pale. Tommy, he mumbled. The documents. I looked at the blood-soaked papers I'd saved. Mission accomplished. At what cost? We got them. We're going home. Good. His eyes closed. Tell my mother. Tell her I did something that mattered. Tell her yourself. You're not dying on me, Danny. But as I sat there in that cold farmhouse, listening to Danny's labored breathing, watching him hover between life and death, I made a decision. A decision that would haunt me for the next 70 years. A decision that felt like the ultimate betrayal. The farmhouse, December 16th, 1942 dawn. Danny's fever had worsened through the night. He thrashed and mumbled, burning up despite the December cold. I'd done everything I could, cleaned the wound again, forced water down his throat, tried to keep him warm. But it wasn't enough. He needed real medical attention, antibiotics, a hospital. And we were trapped in occupied France, 5 miles from where half the German army was searching for us. I looked at the documents spread on the floor, blood-stained but readable. Troop movements, defensive positions, fortification plans. Exactly what command needed for the invasion planning. Then I looked at Danny, my best friend, dying on the floor of an abandoned farmhouse. The extraction point was 10 miles north. The resistance contact would be there at 2,100 hours, 9 o'clock tonight. One chance. If we missed it, we were on our own. Danny couldn't walk 10 miles. Hell, he could barely breathe. I had 3 options. 1. Stay here, hope Danny recovered enough to move. Risk missing extraction. Risk German patrols finding us. 2. Leave the documents, carry Danny to extraction. Save my friend, lose the mission. 3. Take the documents, leave Danny hidden, come back for him after I delivered the intelligence. Every option felt like a betrayal. Of Danny, of the mission, of myself. Tommy, Danny's eyes fluttered open, glazed with fever. You gotta go. I'm not leaving you. Mission matters. He coughed, bloody spittle on his lips. Get those documents home. Not without you. You stubborn bastard. He almost smiled. Always trying to save me. His eyes closed again. His breathing grew shallow, rattling. I sat there, torn apart by an impossible choice. Then I made my decision. I wrapped Danny in every blanket I could find, left him with water and the medical supplies. I hid him in a root cellar beneath the farmhouse, concealed the entrance with debris. I'm coming back for you, I whispered, though he couldn't hear me. I swear to God, Danny, I'm coming back. I took the documents and started moving north. The next 8 hours were the longest of my life. Every step away from that farmhouse felt like abandoning my brother. But I told myself, get the documents to extraction, alert command, organize a rescue mission. Danny would understand. Danny would do the same. I reached the extraction point at 1900 hours, 2 hours early. The resistance contact arrived exactly at 2100, right on schedule. The documents? He asked in accented English. I handed them over. My partner is wounded. 5 miles south, abandoned farmhouse near. No time. Germans are sweeping the area. We must go now. I'm not leaving without him. Then you both die. His face was hard. And the documents mean nothing. Choose. I chose. God help me, I chose. England, December 18th, 1942. I reported to Captain Reeves the moment we landed. Where's Morrison? He asked immediately. Wounded. I had to leave him to extract the documents. We need to send a rescue. It's been 2 days, Garrett. If he's not dead, he's captured. Then we get him back. Reeves' face was grim. We can't risk another operation for one man, especially not in an area now crawling with Germans. I'm sorry. Sorry. He's alive. He could be. He's gone, soldier. You did your duty. You brought back intelligence that will save thousands of lives. Reeves put a hand on my shoulder. Morrison knew the risks. You both did. I stood there, shaking with rage and grief and guilt. You're getting a commendation, Reeves said. What you did took incredible courage. Courage. They called it courage. I called it abandonment. January 1943, the news. The official telegram came 3 weeks later. Private Daniel Morrison, missing in action, presumed captured. 2 weeks after that, Private Daniel Morrison, confirmed killed in action. They said he died in German custody. They said it was quick. They said a lot of things that were supposed to make it easier. None of it helped. I wrote to his mother. What could I say? I left your son to die so I could complete the mission? I chose documents over his life? I told her Danny died a hero, that he saved my life, that his sacrifice meant something. All lies to cover the truth. I abandoned him. March 1943, the package. I was packing for deployment to North Africa when Marcus found me. Tommy, this came for you. He handed me a small package, beaten up and stained. Came through the Red Cross. From Danny. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was Danny's journal, a small leather notebook I'd seen him writing in but never read, and a letter sealed with my name on it. The letter was dated December 15, 1942, the night of the mission. Tommy, if you're reading this, I'm probably dead. Knowing my luck, probably die doing something stupid and heroic. Or just stupid. I'm writing this before we go in tonight because there are things I need you to know. Things I should have said months ago, but was too proud, too angry, too messed up to say. I've been a terrible friend. I know that. I pushed you away when you hesitated about volunteering for recon. I called you a coward when you were just being smart. I resented you for having something to live for when I felt like I had nothing. The truth is, I've been jealous of you our whole lives. You always knew what you wanted. Rebecca, the store, a simple life. You had purpose. I never did. Coming here, becoming this, it's the first time I ever felt like I mattered. But I took it too far. I became obsessed with being the hero, with proving myself. And I nearly destroyed the best friendship I've ever had. I know you probably think I'm reckless. Maybe I am. But every risk I take, every mission I volunteer for, it's not because I don't value my life. It's because if I'm going to die in this war, I want it to mean something. I want my mother to know I died making a difference. Tommy, if something happens to me tonight, I need you to know, whatever you do, whatever choice you make, I trust you. If you have to choose between saving me and completing the mission, choose the mission. I mean that. Some things are bigger than us. Bigger than friendship. Bigger than individual lives. Those documents could save thousands. If my life is the price for that, it's a price I'm willing to pay. Don't carry guilt for me, Tommy. Don't let my death ruin your life. You're the best man I've ever known, and you deserve to survive this war and build the life you've always wanted. Take care of my mother. Tell her I loved her. Tell her I was proud to serve. And thank you for 17 years of friendship. For following me into this insane war. For being the brother I never had. Your friend always, Danny. I read it 3 times, tears streaming down my face. He'd given me permission. Before we even went on the mission, he'd released me from the guilt. But it didn't help. It didn't change what I'd done. April 1943, North Africa. I volunteered for every dangerous mission. Didn't matter what it was, reconnaissance, assault, mine clearing. I was trying to die, trying to make up for leaving Danny behind. But I couldn't die. I survived everything. Got shot twice, nearly blown up, caught malaria. But I kept surviving. Like the universe was punishing me by keeping me alive. Marcus finally cornered me after a particularly reckless mission. You got a death wish? I'm doing my job. Bullshit. You're trying to kill yourself. He grabbed my shoulder. Danny's death wasn't your fault. You don't know what happened. I know you're acting like a man with nothing to live for. Danny wouldn't want that. Danny's dead because I left him. The words exploded out of me, raw and agonized. Marcus stared. What are you talking about? So I told him. Everything. The farmhouse, the choice, leaving Danny to die alone. When I finished, Marcus was quiet for a long moment. You did the right thing, he said finally. How can you say that? Because Danny was already dying. You said yourself he needed a hospital, antibiotics. Even if you'd carried him to extraction, he probably wouldn't have made it. Marcus met my eyes. But those documents, they're being used right now to plan operations that are saving lives. You honored his sacrifice by getting them home. I should have stayed with him. Then you'd both be dead, and those documents would be ashes. Danny understood that. That's why he told you to go. Marcus shook his head. You're not guilty of abandonment, Tommy. You're guilty of being the one who survived. That's not the same thing. But it felt the same. June 1944, D-Day. I was in the third wave at Omaha Beach. The beach was hell. bodies everywhere, water red with blood, bullets and shells making the world scream. But I thought about Danny, about those documents I'd saved, about the intelligence that helped plan this invasion. His death had meaning. I had to believe that. I fought my way up that beach, through France, through Belgium. I survived the Battle of the Bulge, the crossing of the Rhine. I survived the entire goddamn war. When Germany surrendered in May 1945, I felt nothing. No joy, no relief. Just emptiness. Brooklyn, September 1945. I came home to a parade in strangers' gratitude. They pinned medals on my chest and called me a hero. I visited Mrs. Morrison first. She'd aged a decade in 3 years, her hair white, her face gaunt. "Thomas," she whispered, pulling me into an embrace. "You came home. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Morrison. I'm so sorry about Danny. The Army sent his things. His medals. They said he died bravely." She pulled back, studying my face. "Tell me the truth. How did my son die? I could have lied. Should have lied. But I owed her the truth. I left him, Mrs. Morrison. He was wounded, and I left him to complete the mission. By the time I could get back, he was gone. I waited for her to scream at me, to hit me, to tell me I should have died instead. She just nodded slowly. He would have wanted that. Danny always said the mission came first. She took my hands. Thank you for bringing him home the only way you could. Thank you for making his death matter. Her forgiveness was worse than her hatred could ever have been. The years after, I tried to build a life. Worked at the store with my father. Eventually met a woman named Helen. Got married, had 2 kids. Built that simple life I'd always wanted. But Danny haunted me. Every day, every night. The choice I'd made, the friend I'd abandoned. I never told anyone the full story. Not Helen, not my kids. I carried it alone, a weight that never lightened. The nightmares never stopped. Me running through that forest. Danny calling my name. Me choosing the documents over him, over and over and over. Rebecca married Arthur Peterson. They had 4 kids, a good life. Sometimes I'd see her in the neighborhood, and we'd nod politely like strangers. Everything I'd fought to get home to was gone, and the friend I'd sacrificed it all for was dead because of me. Or so I thought. For 70 years I thought that. Until last month, when everything changed. Present day, Brooklyn, November 2012. I'm 92 years old now. Dying, according to the doctors. Cancer inoperable. Got maybe 6 months, they say. I made peace with it. Figured I'd see Danny soon. Finally get to apologize properly. Then my granddaughter Sarah came to visit. "Grandpa, I've been working on a project. Researching family history. She's a history professor, passionate about World War II. I found something. About Daniel Morrison." My heart clenched at his name. "What about him?" She pulled out a file folder, thick with documents. I requested his military records through the Freedom of Information Act. Most of it's what you'd expect: enlistment records, training reports, mission logs. "Sarah, I don't think I can. But there's something else. Something that was classified until 2002. She opened the folder, pulled out a yellow document. "Grandpa, Danny didn't die in German custody. The world seemed to stop." "What?" "He was captured after you left. The Germans interrogated him. They wanted information about the raid, about Allied operations." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "He gave them nothing. For 3 days, they tortured him, and he never broke. Couldn't breathe. On the 3rd day, other prisoners staged an escape. Danny was too weak to go with them, but he created a distraction, attacked the guards, started a fire. He died helping others escape." She handed me the document. "This is a testimony from one of the men who survived. A French resistance fighter named Claude Beaumont." My hands shook as I read. The American soldier, Morrison, he saved our lives. He knew he was dying from his wounds, knew he couldn't escape with us. But he fought anyway. He gave us time. The last thing he said was, "Tell Tommy it wasn't his fault. Tell Tommy I understand." Then he died fighting. He was the bravest man I ever met. "There's more," Sarah said softly. She pulled out another document. "The intelligence you brought back, the documents, Military historians say it was crucial for D-Day planning. One analyst estimated it saved between 500 and 1,000 Allied lives during the invasion. She pulled out one more piece of paper. And this was found in a German archive in Berlin in 2001. It was a German military report, translated to English. Prisoner Morrison Daniel J. refused to provide intelligence despite enhanced interrogation. Subject maintained that his sacrifice was worthwhile if documents reached Allied command. Subject died during escape attempt before additional interrogation could be conducted. Recommend increasing security measures. I stare at the words, my vision blurring with tears. Grandpa, Danny knew you had to leave. He understood. And after you left, even captured and dying, he never regretted it. Sarah squeezed my hand. He forgave you before there was anything to forgive. You didn't betray him. You honored his choice. 70 years. 70 years of guilt, of nightmares, of believing I'd abandoned my best friend. And all along, Danny had understood. More than that, he died proud of what we'd accomplished together. I thought. My voice cracked. I thought he died hating me, thinking I abandoned him. He died knowing you did exactly what he asked you to do. What needed to be done. Sarah wiped her eyes. And Grandpa, those 500 to 1,000 lives the documents saved, they had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Because of what you and Danny did, thousands of people exist today who wouldn't have otherwise. I looked at my granddaughter, smart, kind, alive. Her father was my son who never would have been born if I died in that farmhouse with Danny. Danny's sacrifice had created futures he'd never see, lives he'd never know. But they existed because of him. I need to tell you the full story, I said. Everything that happened. Can you record it? Of course. So I told her. Everything I'd kept hidden for 7 decades. The choice, the guilt, the nightmares, the lifetime of wondering if I'd done the right thing. And for the first time since December 1942, I felt the weight begin to lift. 1 week later, Sarah had arranged something special. She found 3 survivors who'd been at Omaha Beach, men whose lives were saved by the intelligence Danny and I had secured. They came to my house, frail old men like me, but alive, with children and grandchildren of their own. Mr. Garrett, one of them said, his voice thick with emotion. I was in the 29th Infantry Division. First wave at Omaha. The intelligence about German positions, it let us know where to avoid, where to hit. Without it, my entire company would have died in the first 5 minutes. Another man nodded. My grandson is a doctor now. Saves lives every day. He exists because you and your friend got those documents home. I wept. For Danny. For all the years I'd wasted in guilt. For the weight finally lifting. 2 months later, January 2013. I'm writing this from hospice. The cancer's won, but I'm at peace. Sarah's going to publish my story. The truth about Danny, about the choice, about the betrayal that never was. I want other veterans to know. Sometimes the right choice feels like betrayal. Sometimes surviving feels like failure. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do is live with the choices you make in war. But Danny understood. He always understood. I'm seeing him soon. I've got 70 years of apologies ready. Though I suspect the first thing he'll say is, "Shut up, Tommy. We got the job done, didn't we?" And you know what? We did. Final entry, February 14th, 2013. Last night, I dreamed I was back in that farmhouse. But this time, when I told Danny I had to leave, he smiled. "Go," he said. "Make it count. I'll come back for you." I know. But Tommy, even if you can't, it's okay. Some things are bigger than us. You taught me that. I didn't teach you anything. You taught me everything. He gripped my hand. You taught me what real courage looks like. Not the reckless kind, but the kind that makes the hard choices. The kind that lives with the consequences. I miss you, Danny. I know. But you'll see me soon. He grinned, that familiar Danny grin. And then you're buying the first round. I woke up at peace. This afternoon, Sarah came to visit. She brought something, a plaque that's being installed at the Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. It reads, "In memory of Private Daniel J. Morrison and all those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Their courage saved lives they would never know, created futures they would never see, and changed the world in ways they could never imagine. We honor not just their deaths, but the meaning those deaths still hold. Danny would hate this, I told her, but I was smiling. Too sentimental. Danny would love it, Sarah corrected. Because it's true. She's right. Closing statement, narration. My name is Thomas Garrett. I'm 92 years old, and I'm dying. For 70 years, I believed I betrayed my best friend. I carried that guilt like a stone around my neck, let it poison every good thing in my life. But the truth is, I honored him. I honored his choice, his sacrifice, his courage. Danny Morrison died a hero. Not because he killed the enemy or won medals, but because he understood what truly mattered. He gave his life so others could live. And even in captivity, even dying, he never regretted it. That's not betrayal. That's love. The kind of love that transcends death and time. To anyone listening to this who carries guilt from war, from impossible choices, from surviving when others didn't, you didn't betray them. You honored them by living, by carrying their memory, by making their sacrifice mean something. Danny, if you can hear me, I understand now. It took me 70 years, but I finally understand. You didn't betray me. I didn't betray you. We were brothers. We did what needed to be done. And I'll see you soon, old friend. The first round's on me.